Hi everyone, Anthony Dontano here, the internet's busiest music nerd. And it's time for a review of this Moor Mother album, The Great Bailout. This is a brand new LP from poet, vocalist, songwriter, producer Moor Mother, a prolific creator whose output over the years has only grown more vast, more versatile, more experimental, abstract, conceptual, dark, challenging. I have loved and covered past collaborations she's done with the likes of Mental Jewelry as well as Billy Woods, but when it comes to her solo stuff, I haven't always enjoyed it, but I do respect it. Respect its devotion to sounds and stories that typically challenge the status quo, especially in an age where streaming services discourage most experimental or functional music. Also consider we have multiple Western governments right now flirting with authoritarian clown strongmen, but it's truly one of the hardest things to do in art. Be on the fringe in a way that's consistent, authentic, and genuinely daring. And I would argue that Moor Mother does that here on this record, but she does not do it alone. There are a handful of great collaborators and kindred spirits on this record, maybe the most familiar among them for you guys being Lonnie Holley, whose incredible Oh Me Oh My record last year was an astral exploration of Black trauma via American slavery, racial segregation, and the Jim Crow era broadly. The Great Bailout over here focuses on a lot of similar themes, but shifts things toward a different time period and location. Like a lot of Moor Mother's work, this project isn't just based on personal and lived experiences, but also study and research. And specifically for this record, it was learning about England's abolition of slavery in the 1800s that became a tipping point. Because some of the details, when you actually read into them, are kind of shocking. As you may or may not know, there's no shortage of surface-level, whitewashed texts, as well as think tank-funded YouTube videos that paint England's abolition of slavery as this purely benevolent act. We're just turning off the switch and having a job well done type moment. But in reality, England's abolition of slavery was treated more like a bailout, where former slave owners had to be made whole through money from the government, millions of pounds in fact, and this is in 1800s money. And of course, these newly freed individuals, where did they end up? Often back in the same labor arrangements they were in before, with apprenticeships. This is pretty much the historical event that the Great Bailout focuses on, and I think what the album tries to do is lend it a more accurate framing and kind of tells the story of it being less of an act of good faith and more of an added injustice. The whole record kicks off with the track Guilty, which is really a 10-minute warm-up. It is a droning and sorrowful piece that wanders across the spiritual plane with weeping strings and what sounds like fragmented pieces of harp and vibraphone. The additional vocals from Lonnie Holley on the track are both beautiful and unnerving, especially with his weary falsetto and strange melody shapes as he meanders through these various revelations about slavery and monetary exploitation. And of course, in the midst of all of this, you have this very frigid, bold, eerie poetry from Moor Mother herself that really sets up the premise of the record. How there's all this money, all this payment going on, payment for everything except the trauma that the slave trade itself created in the first place, which is a topic the record dives into more deeply on the following All the Money, which features all these harrowing, eerie piano notes, slow primal beats too, and later into the track, these operatic vocals whose vibrato get kind of ghoulish at points. And the track simply asks over and over in these hushed and aggressive inflections, where did they get all the money? The government, the kingdom, the system. I mean, it's not said as explicitly as it could be, but the inference is very clear. It's exploitation, it's colonization, it's stealing. The track gets especially frightening and foreboding as Moor Mother starts talking about democracy falling down, which becomes kind of prophetic in a way because what's being illustrated here is that the foundation this government, this country, the system is laid upon is unjust and bad to begin with. The following God Save the Queen instrumentally has a few interesting different fusions going on. You have bits of spacey improv trumpet, beat poetry, a trap beat, and ritualistic ambient synth passages. Meanwhile, the lyrics on the track are a snarky and aggressive teardown of the premise of hierarchy, of monarchy, really anything that would put a queen at top priority. And yeah, Moor Mother's words and delivery are just especially biting here. Things sonically get a lot darker on the following Compensated Emancipation, which has this heavy, ominous, bassy, distorted drone, these layered background vocal riffs that borrow quite a bit from spirituals. Meanwhile, the poetry Moor Mother delivers on top of of this is hurried and intense as she talks about these various political and powerful social figures coming around as if they're angels of death or demonic figures, and in the context of the story of this album, they might as well be. Then Death by Longitude is actually even more unsettling from an instrumental standpoint. Its subject matter is enough, but the stuttering, relentless noises across the track sound kind of like a combination of infinite choking and also trying to wriggle your way out of a coffin. Really, this track is a true sound of deep-seated horror. Getting toward the end of the record, Liverpool Wins is a very direct breakdown of the emancipation that inspired this entire record to begin with, where Moor Mother is addressing not just the slavery, but the robbery going on here of culture of physical items. There is a painting referenced as well in the song, this painting, actually, where Queen Victoria is said to be presenting a Bible to a Moor, which in the context of the story and narrative of this album, you just have to laugh, because this work is just based on such a self-congratulatory lie and parades around such a gross, disgusting image of self-superiority. From here, the lengthy track South Sea is very much a epilogue type moment, ends the album off in a way that is very similar to how it starts, with this massive, very abstract, all-encompassing moment that almost touches 10 minutes in length. And overall, yeah, I was pretty blown away by this record. There were some spots, specifically toward the beginning and the end, that I think narratively and compositionally could have been a bit clearer, had more direct progressions, more of a defined way of going about things from beginning to end. But outside of that, this album sonically, lyrically, production-wise, performance-wise, was really just incredible. And I think it's one of Moor Mother's best works yet, which is why I'm feeling a decent 2-strong 8 on it. Transition, have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up, or a link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Moor Mother, forever.